Diego and I arrived at our usual beach just as the sun began its slow ascent over the horizon. The waves rolled in steady and strong, perfect for what we had planned. We had surfed here countless times, but today was different. Today, we were going to settle it once and for all. Who was the better surfer? I strapped my helmet-mounted camera in place, ready to capture every moment. Diego laughed, adjusting his board.
Two guys out here alone surfing at sunrise. This looks a lot like a date, man.
Shut up, I chuckled. Let's do this. Before getting on our boards, we swam out to loosen up. The water was crisp, jolting me fully awake. Diego suddenly yelped, his body jerking to one side.
Damn it, Coral.
He muttered, lifting his foot. Blood dripped into the water.
Nothing serious.
Hope you're not attracting any sharks, I joked. Diego smirked.
Yeah, right. We've been surfing here for years. No sharks.
As I treaded water, something caught my eye. A girl standing on a distant rock formation, waving at us. She was beautiful, her long blonde hair blowing in the wind. She waved with an urgency that made me pause. Diego followed my gaze and grinned.
Bet you $10 I get her number first.
You're on! We paddled towards the rocks, eager to see her up close. But as we got closer, her expression shifted from friendly to frantic. Her mouth moved, and I caught snippets of her voice over the waves.
Shark! Shark!
I glanced at Diego, expecting him to laugh, but his smirk faltered. We exchanged a look. No way, we had surfed here for years. No one had ever seen a shark. She had to be mistaken. Then the water beneath Diego erupted. A massive, dark shape shot out, jaws wide, clamping down on his torso. Diego let out a strangled scream before he was yanked under. Blood gushed into the water, mixing with the foam of the waves. His surfboard snapped in two, the jagged edge floating aimlessly on the surface, stained red. For a second, I couldn't move. My mind refused to process what had just happened. Then instinct took over. I spun around and paddled with everything I had, aiming for the rock where the girl stood, still screaming. My arms burned, my lungs fought for air, but I didn't stop. Something moved beneath me, a dark, gliding shadow. It was circling, toying with me. The waves pushed me forward, propelling me with terrifying speed, but so did the thing beneath me. I could feel it, sense it, hunting me. The primal fear of being prey sent ice through my veins. The rock was close, just a few more strokes, then bam! My surfboard launched into the air, the force of the impact sending me flying. My body hit the water hard, and for a second everything went silent. The world around me blurred as I struggled to orient myself, the salt water stinging my eyes and filling my throat. I gasped and thrashed, kicking blindly. My hands reached for my board, but it was gone. Disoriented, I tried to resurface, but my limbs felt useless in the endless blue. My heart pounded as I scanned the water around me. And then, I saw it. The shark, just beneath me, its mouth yawning open. Its eyes were black, soulless, locked onto me like I was nothing more than food. My body locked up, frozen with terror. I kicked, desperate, clawing towards the surface. My breath came in ragged gasps, the girl's screams echoing distantly through the roar of the ocean. The rock was so close, but I couldn't tell if I was swimming fast enough, if I was going to make it. Another forceful jolt from below sent me spinning. Pain exploded through my leg as something sharp scraped against it. My vision darkened for a moment, but adrenaline forced me forward, kicking, reaching. The shark's massive form loomed beneath me, circling, waiting. The girl was reaching out her hand now, her face stricken with horror. I forced every ounce of strength into one last desperate push. My fingers brushed against the jagged surface of the rock. My body trembled as I hoisted myself up, every muscle screaming in protest. I reached out, fingers grazing the rock's rough surface. The girl grabbed my wrist, eyes wide with relief.
You made it!
I nodded weakly, trying to be calm. And then... I was always the punchline to their jokes, the lumbering target of their sharp tongues and cruel laughter. Today was no different. We were at Splash Out, the water park renowned for its towering slides and twisting tunnels. The sun blazed overhead and laughter rippled through the air, but not mine. For me, this place was just another stage for humiliation. The gang, my so-called friends, clustered around me near the entrance of the Turbo Twist. It was a short, narrow slide nestled among the towering giants of the park, but its reputation was deceptive. It was tighter than it looked, almost claustrophobic.
Bet you wouldn't fit.
Matt sneered, his voice dripping with mockery. The others erupted in laughter. My stomach churned as I climbed the steps to the slide. The rough concrete bit into my bare feet, each step amplifying the knot in my chest. At the top, the lifeguard gave me a dubious look but said nothing as I positioned myself on the slick edge. I hesitated, my gaze darting to the entrance of the slide. The opening looked uncomfortably snug, a glossy black moor glistening with running water. I could feel their eyes on me, waiting for my inevitable retreat. Heat flushed my face, not from the sun, but from the shame simmering under their scrutiny. Fine, I'll do it. Their laughter turned into whoops of mock encouragement. The cool touch of the water against my legs sent a shiver up my spine. I pushed off, the initial rush of momentum making my heart leap. For a moment, it was exhilarating. The darkness of the tube enveloped me, water splashing against my sides. But then I felt it, the slide narrowing around me. My shoulders scraped against the slick walls, the friction slowing me down. Panic clawed at my throat as I realized I was stuck. I tried to wiggle, to shift my weight forward, but the slide gripped me like a vice. The flow of water, relentless and uncaring, pooled around me, rising quickly. The water was up to my chin now, surging against my face. I craned my neck, desperate to keep my mouth and nose above the rising tide. My breaths came in shallow gasps, the air in the tube thick and humid. I thrashed, trying to free myself, but the effort was futile. My skin scraped against the abrasive surface, and I felt a burning sting on my arms and sides. With each attempt to move, the pain intensified. The water pressed against my body, forcing me tighter into the unforgiving tube.
He's stuck! Get help!
Inside the tube, my reality was collapsing. The rising water sloshed against my face, and my vision blurred with tears and panic. I could feel the skin on my arms and back peeling away, raw and exposed from the constant friction. Blood mixed with the water, its metallic scent filling the confined space. Suddenly, I felt a violent tug on my legs. Someone was trying to pull me free. The force sent sharp jolts of pain up my spine. My skin stretched, tearing in places as my body resisted the pull. Another impact reverberated through the tube. Someone outside was hitting it, trying to crack it open. Stop! I wanted to scream, but the words were drowned out as water flooded my mouth. I choked, my chest convulsing as I fought for air. The pulling intensified, and with a sickening lurch, I felt myself being wrenched free. The rush of air and blinding sunlight hit me like a tidal wave. I collapsed onto the wet pavement, my body trembling uncontrollably. For a moment, I was overwhelmed by the sheer relief of breathing again, but then the pain hit me in full force. Gasps and cries erupted around me. I looked down at my arms, at my chest, and my breath caught in my throat. My skin was gone in long, jagged strips, leaving raw, red flesh exposed to the air. Fat and tissue gleamed wetly under the sunlight, grotesque and shimmering. Blood oozed from the wounds, pooling around me. My friends stood frozen, their faces pale and eyes wide with horror. The lifeguards hovered nearby, their faces grim. One of them barked into a walkie-talkie, calling for medical assistance. As I stood up, pain radiating through every nerve in my body, I could see the fat under my skin quivering with every shuddering breath I took. Strings of it dangled from my arms, grotesque and alien. People gathered at a distance, their horrified whispers carrying through the air. The world around me blurred, the colors bleeding together in a surreal haze. Before I lost consciousness, the last thing I saw was the reflection of my mangled body in a puddle of water, a sight so horrifying it burned into my mind. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, my body swaddled in layers of gauze. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled the air. I couldn't move without sharp, searing pain shooting through me. My parents sat beside me, their faces etched with worry and guilt. The doctors told me I was lucky to be alive. Lucky. The word felt like a cruel joke. My body was a patchwork of scars, a grotesque reminder of what had happened. They say trauma changes you, and they're right. I don't leave the house much anymore. The world outside feels too sharp, too cruel. The whispers, the stares, I can't bear them, but after all, maybe it doesn't matter. In the end, the scars speak louder than words ever could.
Just leave it at the door. I want to sanitize this entire house. Hurry up.
This mattress still looks brand new. I really hit the jackpot today. Tonight, I'll finally sleep on a warm, comfy bed. This is my home. It's everything I have. As someone uneducated with no place to rely on, I've struggled to survive alone in this suffocating city. I had to learn to save as much as possible, just to build up a little bit of capital so I wouldn't end up wandering the streets. After a long, exhausting day of work, I quickly finished my simple dinner and happily fell asleep on my new mattress. That night, I heard a rustling sound beneath the mattress, but thought it was just the fabric rubbing together. I felt like something was crawling on me, but I convinced myself it was just because I wasn't used to the bed yet. The next morning, I woke up with my body covered in red welts, itching so badly it drove me crazy. That's when I realized there might really be something wrong with the mattress I brought home. I quickly flipped it over. What I saw made my skin crawl. Underneath the mattress were hundreds of bedbugs, wriggling and crawling all over. Terrified, I let go of the mattress immediately. I looked up the cost of bedbug treatments online, but the prices were outrageous. $900 for one cleaning session? Are you kidding me? That's half a month's salary for me. I searched online for ways to get rid of bedbugs. I decided to start with the cheapest method, using baking soda. After finishing, I went out to work, hoping that tonight I'd finally be able to sleep peacefully. That evening, I returned home with a vacuum cleaner I had borrowed from a co-worker. I used it to vacuum up the dead bedbugs and the baking soda from the mattress. After fiddling around for a while, I finally felt like I could get a good night's sleep, but the itching didn't stop. I could feel something biting me, sucking my blood. It was the bedbugs. They were far more stubborn than I had imagined. I grabbed an iron and started pressing the mattress back and forth. The bugs, with their blood-filled bellies, popped with a crisp, crackling sound under the searing heat. Once there wasn't a single bedbug left in sight, I felt reassured enough to go to sleep again. But my peaceful sleep continued to be disrupted. I heard a rustling sound coming from inside my ear. Annoyed, I reached in to clean it out, and I pulled out an entire family of bedbugs. This was beyond what I could tolerate. Terrified, I jumped out of bed, and what I saw froze me in place. There were bedbugs everywhere, on the bed, on the walls, on the sofa, in the kitchen. My home had been completely overrun by bedbugs. Panicked, I ran out of the house. The next morning, I bought a cheap bottle of insect spray. It wasn't specifically for bedbugs, but they're insects too, right? No, judging by the state of my home, these bedbugs weren't ordinary anymore. They were a bloodthirsty swarm. Furious, I charged into battle against them, determined to reclaim my home. After being sprayed, the bugs seemed to go berserk and started attacking me. Panicking, I sprayed the insecticide on myself. The blisters on my hands flared up, red and painful, like needles piercing my skin. The bottle quickly ran out, but there were still far too many bugs. They climbed over the bodies of their fallen comrades, swarming toward me. A chill ran down my spine and goosebumps prickled my skin. Acting on instinct, I grabbed a lighter and waved it toward the swarm. The bugs, also reacting on instinct, scattered in fear of the fire. Triumphant, I thought to myself, if only I had known this earlier, I wouldn't have wasted money on insecticide. I could have just used fire to drive them out of my house. But my victory was short-lived. A horrible accident happened. The fire from the lighter accidentally caught the insect spray bottle. As I panicked, trying to put out the flames, a searing pain erupted from the blisters on my hands. Horrified, I looked down at my hands. From the blisters, bedbug larvae wriggled out, crawling all over my skin. Terrified, I tried to shake them off, forgetting I was holding the lighter. The fire caught on my clothes and the insecticide I had sprayed on myself, turning me into a living torch.
Recently, a rare fire incident caused by using fire to exterminate bedbugs occurred in a small alley on Triple X Street. The fire left the homeowner severely injured and completely destroyed the house. Even more concerning is that a massive population of bedbugs from the house has dispersed throughout the alley and appears to be increasing rapidly.
Brazil was everything I dreamed it would be. Warm sun, vibrant music, and miles of golden sand stretching as far as the eye could see. Miles, my best friend and perpetual thrill-seeker, had planned every detail of our trip. He swore up and down it would be life-changing. So, when he suggested we visit a unique, authentic snake massage spa, I hesitated. The very mention of snakes made my stomach churn. But Miles laughed off my concerns.
Come on, man,
He said, grinning from ear to ear.
it's all the rage. People say it's therapeutic. Plus, what's the point of a vacation if we don't try something crazy?
Against my better judgment, I agreed. The The spar was tucked away in a narrow alley, its faded sign barely legible under the dim streetlights. The door creaked ominously as we entered, and the air inside was thick with the mingling scents of incense and damp earth.
Relax.
Miles said, clapping me on the shoulder.
It's supposed to feel ancient, authentic.
The receptionist, a tall woman with piercing green eyes, led us into a room that looked like a jungle terrarium. Vines hung from the ceiling, and the ground slithered. Hundreds of snakes of varying sizes and colors writhed on the floor, their scales catching the dim light like tiny shards of glass. Okay, nope, I'm out. I whispered, my voice cracking, but Miles was already stepping out of his shoes.
They're harmless, non-venomous. Just let them crawl around a bit. It's supposed to be good for circulation.
He lowered himself onto the snake-covered floor, leaning back with a satisfied sigh as the creatures began slithering over his legs.
See? Totally fine.
He said, waving me over. My body refused to move, but Miles's teasing was relentless. Eventually, I convinced myself to take a single step. The moment my bare foot touched the floor, the cold, slimy texture of a snake's scales brushed against my skin. I froze. Another snake curled around my ankle, its tiny, harmless bite sending a strange, tingling sensation up my leg. My heart raced, but as more snakes swarmed around me, I began to feel oddly numb.
Not so bad, right?
Miles grinned. I wanted to scream at him, but my throat was dry. The next phase of the treatment was supposed to be deep relaxation. We were led to 2 massage tables and instructed to lie face down. The room was dark now, lit only by flickering candles. The snakes had been cleared from the floor, but the eerie hissing sound remained, echoing faintly through the walls. As I lay there, the sensation of something smooth and heavy rolling across my back made me shudder. It's just part of the process, I whispered to myself. Breathe. It's fine. For a moment I managed to relax. The weight moving along my spine felt oddly soothing, like a warm compress. But then I felt it slither up my shoulder. That's not a hand, I muttered, eyes snapping open. The sight that greeted me froze my blood. A massive snake was coiled around Miles, its thick body constricting him like a vice. He looked at me, gasping for air, but he was smiling.
It's fine. These snakes are trained. His
voice broke off into a choking wheeze as the snake tightened its grip. Panic surged through me. Miles! I shouted, jumping off the table. But before I could reach him, something heavy dropped onto my back. The impact knocked the air from my lungs. It was another snake. This one was even larger, its muscular body wrapping itself around my chest and shoulders. Its scales were cold and rough, scratching against my skin as it coiled tighter and tighter. I clawed at it, trying to free myself, but the more I struggled, the tighter it squeezed. My vision blurred as my chest heaved. Desperate for air, I could hear Miles screaming now, his voice a hoarse, guttural cry.
Help me!
I tried to look at him, but the snake's tail wrapped around my neck, pinning my head in place. My pulse pounded in my ears as the edges of my vision darkened. With one final burst of adrenaline, I threw myself sideways off the table. The snake's grip loosened just enough for me to suck in a ragged breath. I hit the floor hard, the impact jolting through my ribs, but I was free. For a moment I lay there, gasping and disoriented. Then I heard it, a low, guttural hiss. I turned my head just in time to see the snake lunging toward me, its massive jaws unhinged and gaping wide. I scrambled backward, but there was nowhere to go. The snake's mouth engulfed me, its sharp teeth slicing into my skin as it began to swallow me whole.